and gentlemen, the liberal mainstream media is out of control and have become the enemy of the people. They must be stopped. It is our mission to make the endless boundaries of social media the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. The names have not been changed because they are not innocent. Hello, folks. This is the Liberal Media Takedown with Tom Holt. And I'm Tom Holt. As you just heard, the liberal mainstream media is out of control and have become the enemy of the people. And it is our job here. What we're going to do here is make social media the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. It's all we got. I'm not getting a radio show or a TV show anytime soon, and neither are you. Now, we can all sit back on our chair and we can throw things at the TV because we don't like what they say, or you can do something about it. There's many formats that you can use to do something about it. The most powerful one out there is YouTube. YouTube is very powerful. But there's also Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, podcasts. There's a whole lot of things that we can do. There's a whole lot of things that you can do. Now, you might be sitting there saying, well, I can't do any of that. I know nothing. Well, I don't know anything either. But if you're listening to this, I was able to get a podcast out there to you. So if I can get a podcast out there to you, guess what? You can get a podcast out there for them as well. There's nothing to it. It's easy. Some things cost a little bit. Some things don't cost so much. YouTube is the most powerful. But let's talk a little bit about YouTube real quick. I have an acquaintance that had a YouTube channel on there called the Trump Fan Network. The Trump Fan Network had over 175,000 subscribers. That's a lot of subscribers, folks. He also had over 80 million views of his videos. These are videos that he put together. These are videos that he spliced and diced and put together himself. It was a lot of work. They took him down. Why did they take him down? Well, you know what? I think that if he was a little bit more on the liberal side, he would have got away with a lot of things. Their claim is third-party copyright stuff. So maybe he violated some copyright rules, laws. Maybe he didn't take advantage of fair use like he should have. But there's a lot of people out there that don't, and they get away with murder. I don't exactly know what it is. But the good thing is that he started the Trump Fan Network too. And I suggest everybody that can hear me goes and finds on YouTube the Trump Fan Network too and start watching those videos. He's the most informative person out there when it comes to the liberal mainstream media, what they do, and the narrative that they're trying to force down the throats of the American people. It's a lot of work to do a YouTube video like he does. I don't know what his status is, but it's a lot of work. But there are guys out there that are doing YouTube videos, and all they're doing is it's as simple as taking your phone, putting it in the holder, say what you have to say, maybe show a picture, maybe show something, or it's just your point of view. Then you take that and you upload it to YouTube. Costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. Now, before you do that, and I'm going to give you a couple little tips here. Before you do that, you need to start yourself an email page. An email page? Well, that doesn't cost anything either. Gmail.com is free. So make yourself up a Gmail account. And if you want, make up 10. You can have as many as you want. They don't stop you. You can have as many as you want. But another thing with YouTube is remember that they're just unfair. If I went to the YouTube channel and I typed into the search box Trump fan, it's never going to find the Trump Fan Network. It's just not. If I put in there some kind of political parody, Democrat or Republican, it's always going to take me to a liberal page. It's always going to show me the liberal stuff first. It's never going to show anything with a conservative point of view. But that's YouTube. But it is the most powerful. If we violate terms of service, if we violate copyright laws, if we don't take advantage of the Fair Use Act the way it should be so we can use videos and use people's words against them, if we happen to get copyright strikes, we're going to learn from that. And we're not only going to learn from that, we're going to teach you how to do it as well, how to thread that needle, how to work around the box so you don't get that. We'll take the hit. I'm a working stiff. I work 5 days, 6 days a week sometimes. I'm in the world of construction. But there's a lot of things that you can do, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time, and it certainly doesn't take a whole lot of money. I already told you about the YouTube. I told you about the Gmail service that you can get to go with those YouTube videos. Have as many as you want. Have as many YouTube channels as you want. I don't believe that they'll ever stop you from having a whole bunch of them. There's other forms of social media that we need to use so it becomes the enemy of the liberal mainstream media, because they've got it all. They've got it all, and we can't let them win. We can't let them win with the way they're trying to shove this socialistic narrative down our throat. Along with YouTube, Gmail, you could start a podcast. If you're hearing this, you're hearing my podcast. And you're probably hearing it because you're either listening to it because we upload it to YouTube, or you're listening to it because you're on my Facebook page, or you found it some way through iTunes. Podcasts do cost a little bit. If you want to do it and you want to get up there on iTunes, it does cost. It costs you, everything is a monthly subscription these days. It really depends on how far you want to take it. But Twitter's free. You can get out on Twitter. Of course, Twitter is kind of like the cesspool of social media. I use Twitter for links. If I find a discussion that's got thousands of people, throw a link in the middle of them and see how many fish you can catch with your link. Do it 5, 6, 10, 15 times. Click, 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 click. That's all it takes. See, that's how you get the repetition going. That's how you get more people seeing your things. That's how you get people watching more things. And there's other things that you can do as well. There's a whole variety of stuff that you don't even know that's out there. Heck, I don't even know yet. But we're going to find out, and we're going to find out together. This podcast I'm doing right now, the audio program that I'm using is absolutely free. Absolutely free. And the name of that program is Audacity. 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 Look it up. It's a great program. And there's other paid programs out there that might do other things, whatever you want to do. But I've got something as simple as a microphone, an interface, and a laptop. That's all I got. And a pair of headphones. You got to have the headphones because they're just cool. Today on this show, along with some of these free tips we're giving you, we do have a show. And at the end of the show, we have an interview with a very important person. That person is Fredo Corleone. That's right. Fredo Corleone from the Corleone crime family out of Brooklyn, New York, will be our special guest towards the end of this podcast. We got a hold of Fredo because of what happened with Chris Cuomo last week, 2 weeks ago, or whatever it is, where somebody went up to him and called him Fredo, because that's what a lot of people on the right call Chris Cuomo, because he's the younger brother. He went to Yale, or he went to Yale to be a lawyer, and he ends up being a TV guy. So maybe he is Fredo. But he threatened to throw a guy down a set of stairs, but he got all upset about it. He really did. And I've got a theory about that. And when we get to that, I'll tell you about the theory, because I'd like to stay on topic on a couple of things. Also, on today's show, we're going to we're going to play a couple clips with Lawrence O'Donnell in it. Lawrence O'Donnell, in my opinion, is the biggest jackass on the TV. Out of all the liberal mainstream media clowns out there, this guy here wears most of the makeup. and we're going to expose him for being a very angry man. He's a liar. He had to apologize just last week, although it was a left-handed apology, and we may have time to play that as well. This podcast always runs hand in hand with a website. The website is putyourheadonastick.com. Putyourheadonastick.com is run by Tommy Salami. Tommy Salami is also known as the conservative Goomba. Why he's called the conservative Goomba? You'll have to ask him. We have a little 6-minute podcast that we played. He's in there talking about putyourheadonastick.com. I suggest you go over there. There's some tips, there's some tricks, there's equipment you can look at to help you build your podcast, to build whatever it is that you want to try to do. Some things cost money, some things don't. We have books over there. You could go and look at these books. These books help you when it comes to a conservative point of view. We're not going to have we're not going to put any liberal books over there because they lie. Why read a bunch of lies? So you go over there, you read the conservative books. There's a bunch of them out there. As new releases come out, we'll add them. This gives you ammunition to argue. Another thing that I would like to tell you, it costs money, but some of it doesn't, is to go and become a member of Rush 24/7. That's the Rush Limbaugh webpage. You can download his app. I'm not making any money on this. I'm just telling you where to go. This is free stuff. This is free. The 24/7 isn't free. You got to pay for it. And I think it's like $50 a year, but what you get is amazing. And then there's also the app that you can download, so you're always there. Rush Limbaugh, the greatest conservative voice in the country, along with Mark Levin. I didn't mention anything about Fox News while I was ranting away here, and that's because, it's Fox News. Fox News has its fair share of never-Trumpers and liberals as well. I think they're more fair and balanced than anything you'll ever see on CNN or MSNBC. And just do an experiment. Just go to your TV right now and find MSNBC or CNN on the channel. Go to it. See what they're talking about. I bet it's not good if it comes to President Trump, it's not good. They're not talking anything good about the economy. As a matter of fact, they wanted a recession not so long ago. That's all you heard out of these guys was recession, recession, recession. And there's no more recession coming than the man in the moon is going to send down any green cheese. Just remember that the liberal mainstream media is the enemy of the people. Who are the people? We are the people. It's we the people. And we need to use social media to become the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. That's what we need to do. It's very simple. You can blog, you can do a podcast, throw that phone up in the holder, have something to say, upload it to YouTube, get out there in masses, because Donald Trump needs to be elected again in 2020. This will keep this ball rolling. We have a lot of Republican senators and a lot of Republican congressmen bowing out. They're retiring. This last group of guys that retired from the House during the last election gave that election to the damn Democrats. That's what they did. They gave it to the Democrats. Let's not do that again. Let's not let these people take over our country. Let's not let them take over our country. I think it's important that we all understand that the liberal mainstream media is the enemy of the people. Now, being that I'm a new podcaster and all that stuff, I have show notes and I try to go over it. I look at different things and I try to remember exactly what I'm doing. And I say that, and you're probably saying, they're not really the enemy of the people, Tom. They're really not. But they are. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to play a clip. I'm going to play a clip that has to do with a guy that was all over the place for a while there. And this guy, to the liberal mainstream media, was the savior. He was the guy that was coming from heaven. He was the guy that was going to be able to take down Donald Trump. And that by itself is amazing to me. We have people in the media that are wishing and hoping and trying and doing everything they can to take down the president of the United States, that by itself should outrage you. That by itself should make you so mad. MSNBC had people on their shows that were saying that Donald Trump was a Russian agent. A Russian agent. But the guy I'm talking about is none other than Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti was this lawyer. He represented some porn star named Stormy Daniels. The claim was they had video and all this stuff against Donald Trump and all this payment stuff, and they were going to take him down. And the media that you will hear were gleeful. They were gleeful over the fact the women wanted to have this guy's babies, and the men wanted to wear his pants. That's how I see it. Michael Avenatti was on every single TV show, and I think he showed up one time on Fox, and I think they referred to him as the creepy porn lawyer. But right now, I think that's going to be the very first clip I play. And the reason why I'm going to play it is because the media, the liberal mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, because they had him on his daytime shows. So you can't tell me ABC, CBS, and NBC aren't part of that. They're not part of that liberal mainstream media. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And they let this guy get in there, and he told all sorts of stories. And where's Michael Avenatti now? Well, we'll talk about that right after the clip.
He's Donald Trump's worst nightmare. Michael Avenatti.
Joining us once again is Michael Avenatti.
Let's bring in Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti, thank you very much.
He's out there saving the country.
Don Meacham says he may be the savior of the republic.
You are something of a folk hero now.
I owe Michael Avenatti an apology. I've been saying enough already, Michael. I've seen you everywhere. What do you have left to say? I was wrong, brother. You have a lot to say. I am just dying to hear what you think.
These people all like you.
I'm the only person right here Donald Trump fears more than Robert Miller.
We think you guys are the tip of the spear that's going to take down Donald Trump.
Michael Avenatti's a beast.
Okay, that's true.
And
he's a beast.
He's a beast.
I hand it to her, and I hand it to Michael Avenatti.
But he has a bigger calling here. That being a lawyer is minimal compared to what he's doing.
No one has talked tougher directly to Donald Trump on TV than Michael Avenatti, and Donald Trump is afraid to mention his name.
That's fascinating.
Donald Trump is terrified of Michael Avenatti.
He gives Trump a run for his money more than anybody else, Michael Avenatti.
Existential threat to the Trump presidency.
The Democrats could learn something for you. You are messing with Trump a lot more than they are.
He has no doubt created sheer panic in Donald Trump's very fragile mind.
Michael Avenatti is laying down the law as guest co-host. And is he really thinking about running for president?
One reason why I'm taking you seriously as a contender is because of your presence on cable news.
You look at the field of Democrats right now, and Avenatti's the one who stands out.
If they decide they value a fighter most, people would be foolish to underestimate Michael Avenatti.
I have always said that they need a fighter.
Look, I mean, we're going to continue to use the media. I think we've used it with great success.
All of my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs.
All my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs, is what Mr. Michael Avenatti says. Well, Mr. Michael Avenatti, it looks like, it appears to be, that you're going to be able to live out your sexual fantasies for the rest of your life because you're going to prison. You're going to prison for being a schmuck. Now, if you go and you watch any of these channels, Michael Avenatti isn't on the NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, MSNBC anymore. Hell, Lawrence O'Donnell had him on his show almost every single night. Do you remember he had that CD, that DVD case as a picture that everybody plastered all over the place? He was trying to make it appear that he had video of Donald Trump and this Stormy Daniel lady. And the Stormy Daniel thing isn't even the issue. Michael Avenatti is. Michael Avenatti and the way the media treated him like he was going to take down the president of the United States. And when you want to tell me that ABC, CBS, and NBC, they're not really the liberal mainstream media, well, guess what? He was on their talk shows all the time, too. On The View. Who do you think was going, ow, in that where he wanted where he was wanting to handcuff people? That was Joy Behar. So they're on network TV. They're all in on it. They're all in on it. And that's why it's very important for everybody to understand that the liberal mainstream media is the enemy of the people, and that we, the people, must use social media to become the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. I don't care how you do it, just do it. If you're sitting at home yelling at your TV, driving your wife nuts, get out of the house and drive her nuts in another way by not being in the house, but doing something about it. Get your wife involved. Have her hold the camera. Do something. Now, we talked earlier about my special guest, Fredo Corleone. Fredo Corleone is going to be on the end of this podcast, and I think what he has to say will be quite interesting. But before we get to Fredo Corleone, we want to start with another jackass within the liberal mainstream media. And it's probably the guy that I probably feel is the biggest jackass, and that's Lawrence O'Donnell. Lawrence O'Donnell yells at his producers. He tells lies. He's just the biggest clown out there. He really is. I want to play this one clip just to show you. It gives you an idea of attitude that he has in general. He's better than everybody else, but he's the smartest man in the world. But he is part of the liberal mainstream media, and he's just horrible. I'm going to play two clips. The first one is a little bit about the polls and how they didn't show that Hillary was winning. And the one thing I do want to tell you about polls while we're here talking about them, if you remember in 2016, all those polls that had Hillary Clinton winning, all right, they all had her winning out the yang, and there's a reason why they did. It's because they wanted Trump supporters or people that were going to vote for Donald Trump to stay home. Those polls were not to reflect public opinion. They were there to form it. So don't be fooled by that. And if I was to pick up the phone and there was a guy polling me on the other end, number one, I would lie to him and tell him I'm voting for Joe Biden. I'm voting for Kamala Harris. I'm voting for somebody else. I would not tell them that I'm voting for Donald Trump. I wouldn't give them the time of day. Let's make all their baloney polls go crazy like they did in 2016. But remember, that's what those polls are. Even the polls today, even if that crazy lady with the crystals ran for president, she would beat Donald Trump. Give me a break. People aren't that stupid. But anyway, we're going to play this one Lawrence O'Donnell thing, and then we're going to go into his anger issues, which are even a lot more fun. So here's Lawrence O'Donnell and a bit of the liberal mainstream media telling you how badly Hillary Clinton was going to beat Donald Trump based on the polling.
He knows he cannot afford to run for president. He simply isn't rich enough. He doesn't have $1 billion that it would take to blow on a Trump presidential campaign.
All the indicators, all the political arithmetic, everything we see
said Hillary was going to be president.
No, but this is, well, no, it didn't. No, it didn't, because Hillary was always polling within the margin of error against Donald Trump. She was always polling within that margin. She never cleared a lead over him that was outside of the margin of error.
One final Electoral College projection for you, this one from Larry Sabato. What's your final tally?
Our projection is that Hillary Clinton will get 322 electoral votes and Donald Trump will get 216.
But of course, as I've always told you, there has never been a possibility, not a shred of possibility, that Donald Trump would run for president. Donald Trump is actually much more self-aware than he appears to be. He knows that he's not smart enough to run for president. He knows that he doesn't have the courage to run for president. And it doesn't take a great deal of courage, but he knows he doesn't have that much. And most importantly, he knows he cannot afford to run for president. He simply isn't rich enough. He doesn't have $1 billion that it would take to blow on a Trump presidential campaign, in which he knows he would lose. Now, you may have noticed that I have not yet included Donald Trump in our coverage of the Republican presidential campaign this season, and that is because he is obviously never going to be president. He is obviously never going to be the Republican nominee for president, and he is obviously never going to be a candidate for president. What he is going to be is the host of a TV series in which former celebrities are mean to each other. I am not a progressive. I am not a liberal who's so afraid of the word that I had to change my name to progressive.
I'm not either.
Liberals amuse me. I am a socialist. I live to the extreme left. The extreme left of you mere liberals. Well, today, President Trump visited Texas, but he forgot to bring any empathy with him. But he did bring a hat that is for sale. Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it?
I don't know.
Where's the hammer? Is it on the... Go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering. Stop the hammering.
I don't know. Maybe you heard somebody dropping the hammer, but this guy has anger issues. You heard all the things he said about President Trump before, during, after. This is just the liberal mainstream media. This is the liberal mainstream media at its finest. Don't think for 1 minute this guy's a big dummy, because he's not. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows that he can get away with saying or doing anything because these guys don't get fired. Look at CNN. They have no ratings. They have 0 ratings. Nobody watches Chris Cuomo's show at 9 o'clock, and I'm not telling you to go do it. Hey, if you want to do some research on these fellas, do it after the show. Don't go and watch their show while it's on, because then you're just giving them ratings. Wait till the next day. Watch it on YouTube or whatever. Don't give them the ratings. Lawrence O'Donnell is an angry guy. He gets away with it. And the clip I'm going to play next goes all the way back to when Mitt Romney was running for president against Barack Obama. He actually challenged Mitt Romney's son, Taggart Romney, to a fight. He said, I'm going to come to wherever you are. Come on, take a punch, throw a punch. Let's fight. Let's do whatever. This is a journalist? This is a journalist? No, it's a guy that is a arm of the Democrat Party, and he's got a national TV show, just like all of them. Just like all of them on MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, and NBC. They are all part of the Democrat Party. Every single one of them. You don't see any conservative points of view on any. Megan, what's her name? From The View? Big deal. Big deal. She doesn't stand up and fight. The only one that ever used to stand up and fight was Elizabeth Hasselbeck. She's the only one that ever fought these people. But this next clip is Lawrence O'Donnell threatening Mitt Romney's son Taggart, or at least challenging him to a fistfight. The whole challenge and the setup here is Mitt Romney's son was on a North Carolina radio show and said something about wanting to take a swing at President Obama because he was lying about his dad. This is just the son trying to protect the old man. What are you going to do? And he kind of lowered it. He didn't really say he was going to down there. But Larry, oh boy, Lawrence really took exception to it and decided to take about 5 minutes of his, well, I don't even think it's 5 minutes, but he took 2 or 3 minutes of his show to challenge this kid to a fist fight. And here it is.
Taggart Romney was the guest of honor on a North Carolina radio show yesterday.
Okay, I'm going to ask something I know a lot of people want to know, or at least I do. What is it like for you to hear the President of the United States call your dad a liar? How do you react to that?
Well, jump out of your seat and you want to rush down the debate stage and take a swing at him, but you know you can't do that because, well, first because there's a lot of Secret Service between you and him, but also because this is the nature of the process, that, you know, they're going to try to do everything they can do to try to make my dad into someone he's not. We signed up for it. We got to kind of sit there and take our punches, and then send them right back the other way.
Okay, Taggart, let's have a little talk, just you and me. When I hear you talk about taking a swing and taking punches, why do I get the feeling that you've never actually taken a punch or thrown a punch? I didn't have that luxury in the part of Boston that I grew up in, but in your rich
Lawrence O'Donnell's father was a lawyer. Lawrence O'Donnell went to Harvard and became an economics major. So I guess he could count to 10.
I just get the feeling that things were kind of different for you.
Yeah, you too, Larry.
Now, I know you've got a lot a lot to be pissed off at these days, starting with the name Taggart, which you got every right to be wicked pissed off at for every day of the 42 years of your life. So let me try to help you deal with all this aggression you're feeling right now. You're mad at President Obama for calling your father a liar?
A liar?
Well, let's get something straight.
A
He didn't
liar?
call your father a liar. I did.
Ooh.
The president just said that what your father said isn't true. I've been saying all year that your father is a liar. I've repeatedly said that your father lies and is trying to lie his way into the White House. So, you want to take a swing at someone for calling your old man a liar? Take a swing at me. Come on. Come on.
Here he is.
And don't worry. There won't be any Secret Service involved.
You have Secret Service?
Just us. And I'll make it easy for you. I'll come to you.
Wow.
Anytime, anywhere. Go ahead, Taggart. Take your best shot.
Well, there you have it. Mr. Lawrence O'Donnell, the greatest journalist that has ever been on TV. The funny part about this is that he gets up from around his desk while he's talking. He comes out of studio light into studio darkness, back into studio light. He's holding his hands out like, come on, Taggart, come on, Taggart. And he takes this hunched over, arms in front of him, like a James Cagney, you dirty rat, type thing. And he's challenging the guy to a fight. I'm going to try to get Tommy Salami over at putyourheadonAstick.com to show this part of it, because it's just absolutely hilarious, but it shows the mentality of these people. It's all about violence. They advocate violence. They never put down Antifa. And if you don't know who Antifa is that group of people that run around protesting, wearing hoods, wearing masks over their face. They usually show up at something, at a conservative rally or a Republican rally. They're the ones that are setting things on fire, destroying other people's personal property, and beating up on people. That's what they do. They don't like the idea that you have anything to say, so they're going to stifle you with violence. Larry O'Donnell wants to do the same thing. He's all part of the system. If Larry thought that he could stop conservatives with violence, he would. If he thought he could shut you up because you have an opposing view or you have better ideas than his liberal, socialistic, communistic ideas, he would. He would find some way to shut you down with violence. That's just who he is. He's part of the liberal mainstream media, and we need to use social media so it becomes the enemy of the liberal mainstream media, because, folks, they're the enemy of the people. When we come back, we're going to get with Chris Cuomo's stuff and where he got upset because some guy called him Fredo. And we're going to show some hypocrisy involved in that. And I'm probably going to be able to prove to you why he was so upset. He's been waiting for this moment for a long time, for someone to call him Fredo. He's been knowing for years they've been calling him Fredo, and he finally got a chance to strike back. And I'll prove it to you when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, the liberal mainstream media is out of control and have become the enemy of the people. They must be stopped. It is our mission to make the endless boundaries of social media the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. The names have not been changed because they are not innocent. I love that intro. That's my, I just love that intro. We're going to start talking about Chris Cuomo now. Chris Cuomo is a 9 o'clock anchor over at CNN. Nobody watches his show, but he keeps his job. It's amazing how that happens. No one watches his nationally known TV show, but he keeps a job. Used to be a time in TV, if you didn't have any ratings, you got fired and they try to bring somebody else in that would get more ratings. The problem with that theory anymore is that there's big companies out there that are willing to compensate Mr. Cuomo for his lies and his rhetoric against the president. This is why we will continually say that the liberal mainstream media is the enemy of the people. And we need to use social media as the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. Now, this little bit here is Chris Cuomo getting upset because some guy called him Fredo. Rush Limbaugh, I think, was the first one to call him Fredo, and it stuck for years. Not a lot of people knew it. Now everybody knows it, and so he'll always be Fredo. And it's the reason why we've got Fredo Corleone, an interview with Fredo Corleone at the end of this podcast. So here's a couple things on Chris Cuomo. First is the guy getting him. Second, we have people that were on CNN, on Chris's show, as a matter of fact, referring to other people as Fredo. But he didn't get upset then. So it's of course it's self-serving, but that's what liberals do. As if it hurts them, it hurts them. If it hurts someone else, well, that's just too bad, especially if it's an opposing view. The liberal mainstream media is the enemy of the people, and we, the people, need to use social media as the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. Here's that first clip where the guy calls Chris Cuomo Fredo.
Don't insult me like that. I didn't insult you. Call me Fredo. It's like I call you punk. You like that? You want that to be your nickname?
I didn't call you that.
You called me Fredo. You know my name's not Fredo.
I thought your name was.
You did not think my name was Fredo. Don't be a liar. I'll ruin you. I'll throw you down these stairs like a punk.
Please do.
Why? So you can sue?
You don't want
so you
to
can sue?
Well, why don't you do
Go
it?
take a swing. You want to call me Fredo? Take a swing.
I'm not going to swing.
Take a swing.
And that's Chris Cuomo, another liberal that wants to stop you from being able to talk and threatening you with violence and able to do it. Chris probably just got a little upset because he was out with his family, but he's been wanting someone to call him Fredo in public for a long time. He had one thing he wanted to say, and he said it. I didn't play it during that clip because I wanted to kind of keep it, and I'll play it here in just a minute. But it's what Chris has been waiting for this for such a long time. Chris Cuomo, the 9 o'clock anchor on fake news CNN, never having anything good to say about President Trump. And at the same time, there were people on his show. Even Chris Cuomo himself referred to himself as Fredo. I'm going to play it. I'm also going to play at the same time people on the CNN network calling people Fredo. Donald Trump Jr. was Fredo. Donald Trump was Fredo. I think one person is trying to call Congressman Nunez Fredo. But they did it on the show, and it wasn't such a big deal then. But it was a big deal that day for Chris Cuomo because he had something to say.
There is a group of people, of politicos, who always hint that they might run but don't necessarily plunge all the way, and they are members of La Cuomo Nostra.
So who am I then, Fredo?
Daddy kept Fredo back home, so who cares what Donald Trump Jr. says?
Devin Nunes is proving himself again and again to be the Fredo of the Republican Party.
This guy, on these different occasions, basically tried to obstruct justice. The fact that he was Fredo and nobody respected him enough to carry out his orders.
Oh, and of course, Fredo.
Now, the first thing you heard there was an interview, I guess it was a phone interview that Curtis Sliwa, the Garden Angels guy, was doing. And Chris Cuomo referred to himself as, well, who am I then, Fredo? And then there was people from CNN. The next three that you heard were people from CNN. The first one was Ana Navarro, the talking mute. She was on Chris's show. Chris didn't have a problem with her calling Don Jr. Fredo. The next guy was, I don't know who he was, but they were all calling each other or calling somebody Fredo. And CNN didn't have a problem with it. Chris Cuomo didn't have a problem with it. So when it suits their needs, then it's a problem. Chris Cuomo had something to say. He's been called Fredo for a long time. He had something to say, so he said it. And he wanted everybody to know that he was Chris Cuomo and that he was not Fredo. And this is how he told everybody that he wasn't Fredo. And this is what this was all about right here.
Punk-ass bitches from the right call me Fredo. My name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN.
Well, look, Chris got it out. He wants everybody to know who it is that calls him Fredo, and he told you there in that little clip who it was, and then he told you who he was. He's Chris Cuomo. He's an anchor at CNN. He doesn't get any ratings, but he didn't want to mention that. Maybe Chris set it up because he got tired of it, because there's been a little bit of people calling him Fredo a lot more here recently. I think we should all get T-shirts that say Fredo with an arrow to the left or the right. Go find Chris Cuomo and stand next to him. I think that would be a funny thing to do. The liberal mainstream media is the enemy of the people, and it's up to us to make social media the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. This is our first podcast. And we want you to do it. We want you to do it with YouTube. If you want to email us, it's liberalmediatakedown@gmail.com. Oh my God, a free email. If you want to do a website, that's going to cost you some money. But if you do a website, make sure that you get an email that comes with it. It usually does. You can also buy an email account if you wanted to do that. A lot of these things are pretty cheap. If you want to do some YouTube videos, you can use your phone, or you can get some better equipment. And if you go over to the website, putyourheadonasick.com, you'll see some of that stuff. Get it, don't get it, it doesn't matter. If you have questions about this podcast, liberalmediatakedown@gmail.com. If you have questions over at the website, it's Tommy@putyourheadonasick.com. And all your questions will be answered. We get to everybody. Coming up right after this break is an interview with the real Fredo Corleone. Right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, the liberal mainstream media is out of control and have become the enemy of the people. They must be stopped. It is our mission to make the endless boundaries of social media the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. The names have not been changed because they are not innocent. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as promised on the phone, we have the one and only Fredo Corleone. Fredo Corleone is from the infamous crime family, the Corleone crime family, out of Brooklyn, New York. Fredo happens to be the second son of Don Vito Corleone. And Fredo, I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Fredo, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on here with Chris Cuomo from CNN. What have you got to say about that?
Well, I don't have a lot to say. I was kept pretty much in the dark.
Okay, and do you think that Chris really just took it a little too serious, over the top, saying that calling him Fredo is the N-word to Italians, like we haven't heard some other words that are worse?
Well, he's Fredo now.
Well, that's true. He'll always be known as Fredo. He'll never escape that one. He opened the door up, and people will, from now on, forever, we'll call him Fredo. You see, I think part of the problem there is that we all understand ourselves. Chris Cuomo doesn't understand that there was really only a choice few within the United States and the world that even knew people on the right referred to him as Fredo. Now everybody will refer to him as Fredo, and I think it's just funny. So Fredo, do you think in some way Chris Cuomo wanted this to get out? So in saying that, do you think in some way this is how Chris Cuomo wanted it?
It's not the way I wanted it.
Okay. Do you think maybe that you could have handled this a little bit different? I mean, you aren't really known for being able to handle things.
I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says, like dumb. I'm smart, and I want respect.
Well, Fredo, you're not a TV guy, and Chris Cuomo has the anchor job at CNN. Do you think that you'll be taken care of?
Taken care of? He's not even my kid brother. He's supposed to take care of me. Did you ever think about that? Did you ever once think about that? Send Fredo off to do this. Send Fredo off to do that. Let Fredo take care of some Mickey Mouse nightclub somewhere. Send Fredo to pick someone up at the airport. I'm the real Fredo when I was stepped over.
Whoa, calm down, Fredo. Calm down. It's not worth getting so worked up over. Now, is there anything you would like to ask Chris Cuomo?
Yeah. How do you say banana daiquiri in Spanish?
I can handle that one for you, Fredo. It's banana daiquiri.
That's it?
That's it. Now, Fredo, there are a lot of rumors all around the place that you knew this thing with Chris Cuomo was going to happen. What can you tell us about that?
I didn't know they were going to hit him like that. I swear to God, I didn't know they were going to hit him like that. Johnny Ola bumped into me in Beverly Hills, and he said that he wanted to talk. He said that Chris Cuomo from CNN was reporting a lot of fake news about President Trump, and he was not willing to tell the truth. I was told that if I let them use my name so they could make him look like a fool, that there would be something in it for me on my own.
Oh. You fell for it again, eh, Fredo? Well, is there anything else that you can tell me, Fredo?
Yes. Every time I go fishing and I say a Hail Mary, I catch a fish. Every time.
Well, Fredo, I suggest that you don't go fishing with Chris Cuomo anytime soon. But I do thank you for taking the time to be on the podcast today. I really thank you.
Okay, bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Fredo Corleone, and I hope now we understand a little bit more about what happened with Mr. Chris Cuomo, but I think forever and ever, Mr. Christopher Cuomo, the anchor at CNN, will now always be affectionately known as Fredo Cuomo. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, the liberal mainstream media is out of control and have become the enemy of the people. They must be stopped. It is our mission to make the endless boundaries of social media the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. The names have not been changed because they are not innocent. Okay, folks, that's going to do it for our first podcast. We're going to get better as we go. We're going to be able to give you better information as we go. We hope that we're informative. We hope that we're making you see things a little bit differently. We want you to remember always that the liberal mainstream media is the enemy of the people. And it's our job here to make social media the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. And until we meet again, I just want to say goodbye, and I thank you so much for listening. Make sure you catch the website over at putyourheadonastick.com. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you think. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the liberal mainstream media is out of control and have become the enemy of the people. They must be stopped. It is our mission to make the endless boundaries of social media the enemy of the liberal mainstream media. The names have not been changed because they are not innocent.